Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Dads, episode 7. We got today breaking down all the games from week 10 of fantasy football and previewing Thursday night, which is a really exciting game, Seahawks-Cardinals.
Should be
fantasy heavy. I'm your host, Jake Shiptanko.
I'm your other host, PJ Triolo, here to talk to you about some dads and some boys and some fantasy. Fantasies revolving around dads and boys. We're the specialty podcast for you. You know, it's how it be. So
it's not everywhere you can really view fantasy through such an accurate lens. So
for sure,
give it a shot. If you're clicking play right now, you'll learn some good info.
Oh yeah, I memean, great info, great top notch info,
priceless, completely free but priceless info.
Yes. Alright, so I want to start it off. Do we want to just start it off with the 1 o'clock games?
Yeah. Let's start off with your boys.
Let's dive right in. Oh, yeah, the boys in brown and orange and white. The Cleveland Browns against the Houston Texans. Another dog shit weather game. 50-mile-an-hour winds. A fucking hurricane coming in. Lightning striking the end zone. Did you see that on Red Zone where it just like they like
No.
they like pan, they're like, and there's a weather delay in Cleveland and like this is why, and there was literally like a lightning strike like maybe 50 feet from the stadium.
Oh my God.
It was a crazy like but like it was nuts to see, and like being located in Cleveland and seeing like it was literally like 5 minutes of rain. And then,
well, obviously you won the game. Would you say that you're almost welcoming this weather? Because it's
yes.
2 times in a row. I guess the first time you lost, but
yeah, the first time we lost because we didn't have Nick Chubb and it was just Kareem Hunt.
Yes.
And we all know that Kareem Hunt is only a dad if Nick Chubb is there too. That's
Chunt.
just a rule. The chunt is back. Goodwill chunting.
Goodwill chunting.
You know. Great times all around. But yeah, it just means that Baker Mayfield doesn't have to throw the ball a lot, which, like, love Baker, love him to death, but if he doesn't, like, if he does throw a bunch, like, he's going to eventually throw an interception, and that's not great. But if if the weather is so bad and we play a team that it has a really, really shitty run defense and also has Duke Johnson as their top running back, you know, there's not much you can really do there.
It set you guys up nicely.
It definitely did. And, I mean, Chubb going for, both Chubb and Hunt going over 100 yards rushing. Chubb adding that 1 touchdown. Could have had 2, but he stepped out of bounds on the 1, which I'm actually, like, not that mad about because I had Nick Chubb in our Fantasy Dads League, but I was also playing against the team that had him in another league. So 18 points was perfect where he got me enough points where I could beat Kyle, but also kept that game close, even though I did end up losing by like 5 or 6 points. But whatever, it's fine.
That fantasy sweet spot of not too when you're in multiple leagues, you always face those certain players where it's like I have them, I need them to go off, but can't also have them going too much off against me. So 18.6 definitely hitting that beautiful little range of points.
Yeah, perfect. And Kareem Hunt having a solid day. Of course, over 100 yards rushing. Also adding
those receptions.
Yeah, 3 receptions for 28 yards. That's an extra 6 fantasy points. You can't be too upset about that. That's 16 points, you know. Good times, good vibes all around. Even though this was a really ugly, low-scoring game. And, Jake, you're welcome for telling you to ditch Watson and Fuller because I'm sure you would have lost by a lot more.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, it gave me a lot of hope because when you're watching those 1 o'clock games, you're like, you made that bold decision to bench players playing at 1 o'clock for players playing later in the day. You're just hoping, you're just watching the whole time, be like, do nothing. and Watson put up 14.2 and Fuller put up 8.8. So it wasn't nothing, but I definitely was better off going with Deshaun and Juju, or Herbert and Juju.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure like the weather played a huge factor in this game, and it's definitely worth monitoring in the future. Just the weather of games, because it really dictates what you can and can't do. Like I think Kevin Stefanski said after the game, like he wanted to call like more pass plays, but he had to run the ball because the only option was running the ball. Because if they threw it, it would blow the football like into the sideline. So
yeah, it just then like. And that's why I think the Texans did so poorly, because David Johnson was a complete bust, but, as we saw, Duke Johnson didn't do a lot better. Neither, David Johnson, at one point was like a stellar starting running back, but I don't know. It's maybe the play calling, maybe the offensive line there. They just cannot get anything going with the ball on the ground, which has basically killed their season. As we've seen.
And their defense as well is not the best.
that shitty defense doesn't help. But
yeah,
I was wondering, are you at a point now where you trust Cooks? Because he put up 6 receptions for 39 yards this game, which got him almost to 10, and I can't imagine the Texans offense doing much worse going forward against many teams. So it just got me thinking. I'm like, Cooks has shown kind of incredible consistency throughout these past few weeks. I'm like, is he kind of trustworthy to plug in your lineups every week going forward? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think he's like a solid wide receiver too, maybe a flex option if you need him there. I think that if you have better options, like obviously he's not the guy that you want to trust every single week. But matchup dependent, I definitely say if he's playing like the Seahawks or whatever, like yeah, he's a must start. If he's playing against a weak secondary, I guess, then yeah, it's a
good spot.
It's a good spot.
Yeah, I feel that too. The consistency of receptions over the past few games have just kind of made me feel better about him. And I was also Higgins, Landry, Hooper. 3 receptions, 1 reception. Obviously, no touchdowns. Obviously, also, it wasn't a huge throwing game for the Browns. But with Chubb back and just his overall success, how are you feeling about Landry, Higgins, Hooper, especially with your Browns insight?
I'm definitely. I don't know if I'm putting Hooper in that Mike Gesicki tier of tight ends where or like maybe the tier below it with like the Hunter Henrys based on name recognition, where he's very touchdown dependent. There's the one play on the Browns' first drive where the refs absolutely cucked us. The play before that where they fumbled the snap, it was a bad snap, and then Baker, the play that was the bullshit fumble where Baker took it, and then he ran out, and he threw it out of bounds, and Landry was right there, like 2 yards from the ball, and they called it grounding because it didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. And, like, even though Landry was in the area, it was bullshit. It would have been 4th and 1. They would have run it with Chubb or Hunt and gotten the first down, maybe a touchdown easily. Instead, they kicked a field goal, and that was the only scoring until the 4th quarter. But yeah, that play, the way it was designed, Hooper was wide open in the end zone. So, like, if Baker had gotten that snap, he would have, I'm sure, like, Hooper would have gotten a touchdown. So he would have been
able to hit him on that.
Yeah.
I feel like, for the most part, the plays we're seeing from most teams across the board is, and obviously for good reason, it's trying to hit the tight end in the end zone. But it doesn't seem like kind of across the board this year that there's many tight ends being used in the actual drive to the end zone.
Yeah.
Most stats that you're seeing from good tight ends are like, the 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, like 3 receptions, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
They're not really producing across the board, which has been frustrating. So it's nice to know that Hooper was getting that open look in the end zone at the least, if you're in a situation where you're starting the boy.
Yeah, and then Mayfield also overthrew a pretty open Landry where his shoe fell off. It was pretty hype. Everyone thought it was a flag, but it was like the one big passing play, and Landry was open, and Baker just overthrew it. It was probably the wind, honestly. The ball sailed. But
Baker wouldn't mess up like that.
I think if it's a better weather, like, I think you trust Landry. You maybe trust Higgins in the flex. But I think that game, maybe not this week because they're playing again in Cleveland against the Eagles, which there's already, I'm pretty sure it's projected to be rainy again, so it's going to be more Chubb and Hunt.
Let's go.
The week after, when we play the Jaguars in Jacksonville, I think that's the week that you start those guys.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up that game. Let's bounce on along to Washington versus Detroit. Detroit takes it 30-27.
Matt Prater
being a dad, being clutch as fuck.
Yeah, that's I don't know. He's been having a weird season. But I mean, good for him. If you started Matt Prater, good for you.
Yeah, Swift was, I'd say, the star from this game to note. He finally got the starting role, which we've been discussing over the past few weeks, and that looked like 16 touches for 81 yards, and then 5 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. To my dismay, I left him on the bench for Zach Moss, but I feel good starting him going forward after that phenomenal performance.
Yeah, for sure. Marvin Jones looked pretty daddish out there, especially out without Galladay. I mean, he's a must start for me until Galladay gets back. Then we'll reassess. He's honestly been producing pretty, like, I'd say consistently is the right word, with Galladay out there. It's not like he disappears from the offense either. So I feel like he's definitely owned wherever he's owned. And I think with the way that he produced these past few weeks, he could be a flex look even with Galladay back. Very true. Yeah, on the Washington side of the ball, I mean, Scary Terry had a big game, no touchdowns, but still 7 receptions, 95 yards, 1 run for 27 yards. That's a solid production, I guess. That's like...
Yeah, it keeps him up there in dad status. That's what a dad would do in a low-scoring game. Not low-scoring game, like for him, a low fantasy scoring game. He's still putting up 7.2 without a touchdown.
Yeah.
17.2 without a touchdown. So it's always nice to see a dad.
Yeah. Logan Thomas also looking more and more wetty each week.
I actually picked him up off the waivers this week. Noah Fant wasn't tickling my fancy as I had liked, and I like Logan coming up next week, which we'll get to. But yeah, the 4 for 66. He's looking like maybe he can be a little relevant going here.
Yeah.
He's been kind of relevant recently too, but with Alex Smith throwing for 390 yards, no touchdowns, but 390 yards, that's a lot of yards.
That's a significant amount of yards. It's a big amount of yards for Alex Smith. I mean,
he got 16 fantasy points on 390 passing yards, no touchdowns. Oof. So if he adds a couple of touchdowns, that could get a little interesting for Washington fantasy wise.
Yeah, for sure. And then Antonio Gibson, rushing for 2 touchdowns, not doing much else yards wise. Adding in 4 receptions though, so that was like a solid
That's
week.
New for him.
Yeah,
that's new for him.
Yeah, I hope they continue with that. Be good for Gibson owners, but
McKissick owners though.
Yeah,
I as one of them, I feel very great about 7 receptions for 43 yards. Not necessarily impactful, but the 7 receptions in PPR is just beautiful. And then 8 rushes for 6 yards. Not great, but hey, grabbed himself a rushing touchdown. So,
0.8 yards per carry, but I mean, you can't be too disappointed. I mean, if you're like Jake and you're relying on those PPR points, you can't be too mad at that.
Yeah, Alex Smith loves a little dump off, you know?
Yeah. Alex Smith is the king of dumping.
And then I also wanted to know Isaiah Wright, behind McLaurin, was able to put up 6 receptions with 59 yards. And I think that just points more to the bigger picture that, like, Alex Smith, he's producing, you know? It's not like he's the best quarterback in the world, but he's producing. And the offense did play the Lions defense, which is garbage, so they're definitely matchup dependent, but they got Cincinnati coming up next week, who they can definitely put some points up on.
Yeah, definitely look to get any of these guys in your lineup. Scary Terry, Logan Thomas,
McKissick,
and Gibson, for sure. Yeah, big fan. All right, moving on to the Bucks and the Pats. Panthers. Pants.
So the Bucks don't suck.
Yeah, we learned that. We learned that they're going to ride whoever's doing well in the running game, which happened to be Ronald Jones, who I happened to bench and start Leonard Fournette instead. Still won in that league, though, but still not.
I like Rojo going forward after this game, I gotta say. I don't think he'll have a higher fantasy game than he had this week, but it goes to show that he's talented as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to beat the 98-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he had that one huge run, and that's all the difference. That's like a huge point swing. That's like you get the touchdown and you get the 9.8 points for the yard. So that's like
that'll give you a half chub for sure, if not a full rod.
Yeah, for sure. We got let's see, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both looking.
Evans beat the cancer this week a little bit.
Yeah, he got his touchdown. That's all that matters. Then Antonio Brown actually leading the team in receptions with 7.
Big boy.
So I personally think any of these 3 guys could be viable starters going forward.
I'd say wide receiver 2 range for sure.
Yeah, and like you're always going to be susceptible to the Mike Evans cancer game. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen every other week. If you benched him this week, you're going to start him next week. He's going to have 0 points. So that's like maybe wait a week, and then once he has a bad week, start him the week after, because then he'll do good.
Yeah, I feel like going forward with Mikey Evans that you should know if you're drafting him that, okay, I need to put him in every week, but just know only like 6 of the weeks is he really going to produce for you. But like that's almost something you have to come to terms with if you draft him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like trying to ride the Mike Evans wave is kind of where the cancer comes in.
Yeah. And it's definitely not fun. That's why I avoid him like the plague in every draft, just because he'll have those games.
Social distance from him.
Social distance from him. Did not like Cameron Brate vulturing Rob Gronkowski for that one touchdown. That was not cool. But, I mean, Gronk still got his touchdown, so it's fine. He saved me there. But 2 receptions, 51 yards. Cameron Brate, 3 receptions, 31 yards. Both had touchdowns. Would love it if all that production went to Gronk instead of some of it going to Cameron. But can't be too picky, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like they're always both going to be out there on a goal line play, so it's like a 50-50 toss-up of which tight end he's going to look to. But luckily, it's Gronk we're talking about, so we know Brady loves him.
Yeah, very true.
On the Panthers side, we talked about it. It looks like we're entering the DJ Moore phase of the Panthers season.
Yes. It was Robbie Anderson at the beginning. We had a little bit of Curtis Samuel in the middle, and now we're into the DJ Moore phase. And I feel like it's gonna go like this. It's gonna be like a couple weeks. Teddy Bridgewater likes one guy for like 2 weeks, and then he moves to someone else. So I think it's worth trying to predict who it's gonna go to next after DJ Moore. So maybe it's like a cycle. Maybe it'll go back to Robbie Anderson for a bit and then Curtis Samuel again, but
yeah, we'll figure out if it's more of a Is it like if it's you go one direction and then bounce straight back the other direction, or is it a circle where it'll go back to Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore?
Is it a snake draft or is it like a normal NFL draft?
Exactly. Yes, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the Panthers obviously really, really miss McCaffrey. Mike Davis didn't look too hot. I mean, 7 carries, 32 yards. They're also throwing a lot, so, I mean, not much you can really do about that.
McCaffrey will probably be back next week, so
yeah.
I feel like Davis is done. It was fun to maybe have him back this week, but he didn't really show out.
Yeah.
Bucks defense too nasty.
Bucks defense very nasty. That was a burp. So, yeah.
That was a good one.
Thank you. No, I rate that like a 6 out of 10. But, yeah. Eagles-Giants, on to the action of the NFL, the NFC East. Are the Giants good? Are they like a good team?
The defense, I start their fantasy defense almost matchup proof. Almost. Like probably like minus like if they play a top 5 team, I'm probably starting the Giants defense. So as a team, like that's half the battle right there. And if Daniel Jones isn't going to throw multiple interceptions, that offense could get moving nice. Gallman looks kind of nasty out there.
True. Very, very true. And, like, I mean, Daniel Jones looked pretty wet. He didn't throw for a touchdown. He ran for one, but, I mean...
Yeah, his run game is very nice. You watch him burst through the line like that, and you're like, okay, like, maybe he is the fastest guy in the NFL.
He very well might be. But the concerning thing for me with this game was the lack of turnovers. I think there was, like... Was there like a fumble or two, maybe?
I don't fully remember. I gotta say,
but
I don't have it down in my notes over here, so I feel like it was probably turnover without.
Yeah, there were no interceptions thrown by either quarterback, which was very, very concerning, because that's very uncharacteristic for either of them. But yeah, I think the Eagles need to run with Miles Sanders a lot more than they have been.
Yeah, well, I don't know why Boston Scott has earned... I guess he hasn't really earned himself a role in the offense, but he snaked a touchdown away. So.
Yeah, and Corey Clement vulturing another touchdown from Miles Sanders. He had 1 carry for 5 yards and a touchdown. That's just cancer right there. That's why? Like, why? It makes no sense.
He got himself up to 13.5, which I guess is decent, but it gives me Josh Jacobs vibes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Let's see, Fulgham had a quiet day.
Yeah, I don't know. Or going forward, I don't know about Fulgham.
Yeah,
I definitely had it in the back of my mind that coming back, he may not necessarily be as daddy-like as we had seen.
Yeah,
given that Rager's in there. And I guess is Ertz going to make a return?
I think Ertz is back next week, which is
so for an already kind of blech offense. There, with what we saw from Fulgham this week, I'd kind of be fading him going forward. He was a nice little 4 or 5 week sort of pickup.
Yeah, and like that's better than most pickups.
Yeah, and like not to say he can't even be impactful going down the line. I just don't know if starting him's the move.
Yeah, especially with Wentz, and with Zach Ertz, who's a huge part of their offense. Richard Rodgers had 4 receptions for 60 yards, which was kind of wet. Kind of wet. Like, that's 10 points from your tight end. Like, you can do much, much worse.
I'd be snagging him if Ertz wasn't coming back.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Goddard's already back, and Ertz is also coming back. So, I mean, are they going to phase out Rodgers now? Like, even though he's, like, playing pretty well?
I feel like we're going to end up seeing all 3 of them out there, which makes them all kind of tough to start from the tight end position because I feel like, and just as far as snaps, like, it'll probably be 15% of the time Rodgers will be out there, 30% of the time it'll be good air, and then the last 50% or whatever my math is will be Ertz. So, I don't know. It's not the best situation, but Wentz does love the tight ends. So
Yeah.
I just think probably Ertz is the guy you bet on. Which, that's not a hot take.
Yeah, definitely not hot at all. But yeah, other than that, this is a pretty, besides Gallman's big day with his 2 touchdowns, this is a pretty underwhelming fantasy day for a lot of the typical fantasy stars from these two teams.
Yeah, Slayton looked, he got a good fantasy week for the first time in a while with 5 receptions, 93 yards. But again, it's just like, with Shepard out there, he's probably going to be going Shepard most of the time. And Ingram only got 2 receptions this game, which I don't expect to kind of be the vibe going forward. Ugh, I burped. It was like a 1 out of 10, though.
Ooh.
So, both those guys still look good, but it definitely puts the situation a little sticky with Slayton performing like that, because then he gets back into the conversation.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, so that's we'll move on from that to the Packers versus the Jags. First of all, I'm going to start and say I'm sorry. I thought it was Chark Week. It didn't end up being Chark Week. It ended up being...
I think you forgot about daylight savings time.
Yes, that's exactly. I was off by an hour. I was off by a week. I didn't appreciate Chark Week last week, and I thought I could get greedy and have an extended Chark Week, but it didn't end up being how the cards played out. Chark only going 4 receptions, 56 yards. Keelan Cole had a nice return for a touchdown.
Yeah, that thing was sexy.
That was sexy. Unfortunately, that doesn't count as fantasy points for him. That counts as fantasy points for the Jags defense. And if you started the Jags defense this week, then I don't know what you were
probably
thinking.
Missing a chromosome or 2, or have an extra one.
Yeah. But I mean, it probably worked out for you. I mean, that's 7 points right there. But yeah, he also had a touchdown. Robinson went for over 100 yards. I mean, that seems like his normal level of production. That's like his floor. His floor week is like 10, 13 points, which is always nice to have as a running back.
Yeah, he's quite the daddy.
Yeah. On the Packers side, Aaron Rodgers was okay. Marquez Valdez-Scantling going 4 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown was a pretty impressive showing.
I think he's kind of proven that, like, all right, you can put him out there in your lineups. He's even with Daddy Dadams out there, he's still finding a way to get some long ass fucking receptions. So,
even though this was a quiet week from Daddy Dadams, I mean, 8 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. You can never be too critical of. Yeah, that's the floor. If that's a bad week, I don't know. I'm just happy that Josh traded him to me. Yeah, but I mean,
Aaron Jones, 13 for 46, 5 receptions. Again, it was all floor games for most of these guys, and then Scantling kind of had the boom. So Rodgers is just going to be producing fantasy points. And the offense will be moving for the most part, unless it's probably a tough D, which I believe next week they play the Colts, so that'll be an interesting conversation about what to kind of approach with that.
Yeah.
But, I think that wraps up that little game there.
Yeah. Much closer, much like lower scoring and closer than I expected it.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of expected the Packers to run away with it.
Yeah.
But it kept close, which, again, wasn't great for fantasy, but wasn't terrible. Moving along to the most exciting game of the week.
Oh, yes.
Bills versus Cardinals.
God, I love this game. Even though Josh Allen threw 2 pretty shitty interceptions, he made up for it with 2 pretty nice touchdowns. And, like, I mean, I think, I forget how many points he had, but it was like a solid, like, 20-point week, which is around where I'm expecting him to be. Like, he'll have his, like, 36-point games, but then
yeah,
he'll
he
also
finished with 27.36 this week.
Okay, yeah.
So,
nothing to complain about there.
It's a juicy week.
Yeah. Yeah. He was tied for the lead in rushing. Or no, he was also their leading rusher with 7 carries for 38 yards. So, I mean, you Zach Moss and Singletary people probably are not too hot about that. But
yeah, both those guys are they're no-goes going forward.
Yeah.
I gotta say. You can, like I did, try to vulture a touchdown out of one of them, but I learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Starting him this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Cole Beasley having a day. Stephon Diggs also having a day.
Huge days. And honestly, Brown with 6 receptions for 72 at 13.2 fantasy points, really not bad either. So if Allen's going to be dadding it up, all 3 of those guys could look pretty sexy. Of course, Diggs. And then I feel like it's going to be Brown or Beasley for who he's going to lean to there. And I honestly like Beasley as the number 2 option behind Diggs.
Yeah, it's a pretty sexy little trio they got going on there.
Little boy.
Yeah. He's like a solid little man boy. Speaking of little man boys, Kyler Murray is the littlest man boy of them all.
What a man boy.
A huge man boy. We haven't even talked about him. Like, only threw for like 245 yards, a touchdown interception, added 61 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, which was huge. And we know how
Those
it
are
ended.
Daggers.
Yeah. That like having both of these quarterbacks in 2 different leagues, and having them basically just like dueling each other was phenomenal. I had so in one league I had Kyler and Hopkins, and in the other league I had Josh Allen. So those last 3 minutes of the game where Allen led a touchdown drive and the Cardinals got the ball back with like 30 seconds left, and then that last Hail Mary Kyler to Hopkins touchdown there.
Wow.
Just catapulted me to victory.
3 defenders, like the snapshot of him with his hands up there holding the ball.
Yeah.
That's I get that framed and put up somewhere. That was a really, really sexy catch. And Murray scrambling to get open like he did was impressive as hell too.
I think Kyler Murray might be the MVP.
I know. So for Dad of the Year, Alvin Kamara 100% on the list, and honestly, he's the leader right now. But Kyler Murray, he's going to be getting a nomination into my consideration as well. So it's Murray and Kamara I'm looking at for Dad of the Year.
Yeah. What about Dadums?
Dadums, he was injured those few weeks. But of course, if he continues to put up consistent 30-point games, he'll enter himself right into that convo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I mean, they're all pretty much dads, so I mean, can't really do much about that.
It's an honor, It's gonna be a huge announcement when we decide on one.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll be a heated debate, and a lot of celebration for whoever has the Dad of the Year.
Absolutely. Zay Gonzalez throwing up 16 fantasy points.
Huge potential Dad of the Year.
Zane Gonzalez entered himself into the conversation as well.
I mean, you love me some Zane.
So he was their 3rd highest scorer fantasy-wise. So, that offense powering down the field constantly, he's a go-to kicker, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Even if he does miss, even if the week that I do start him, he puts up 2 points. Which is fine. I'm not mad, but every other week he's putting up 15 or 16. But the one week I started him, he put up 3, and it made 0 sense. And I was very, very displeased with him.
When a player does that, you gotta write him off. You gotta be all right, fuck.
That'll probably result in me never trusting him again. So in future years, that may come back to bite me in the ass, but whatever. Another last thing to note was Kenyon Drake having 16 carries, 100 yards.
Woo!
solid day. I mean, I might start trusting him again. He might have elevated himself off of my bench into my flex consideration. But with with Chubb and Connor, and I might have to think a little bit about, do I start Connor? Do I start Drake? Do I start Drake in the flex?
Connor's been kind of dry, so
yeah. But I mean,
I think you're in the right headspace.
Yeah.
As a person who is forced to start Drake, I'm just more so optimistic at the performance. I'm like, okay, only 11.9 fantasy points, but 100 rushing yards. Like, who's gonna argue with that?
Yeah. True. Very true. So yeah, fun game to watch. Crazy last 3 minutes. Great for me fantasy-wise. Could not be happier. Moving on, we got the Chargers and the Dolphins.
Chargers losing by just a hair once again. Not actually. Herbert made it interesting on that little touchdown. But,
yeah, this game was much less closer than it appeared.
Dolphins they look kind of sexy.
They look kind of sexy.
They're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, I mean, Tua didn't have a incredible game. Had 2 touchdowns, I guess.
Fantasy wise, they're really restricted, and I get maybe you can speak to this because I wasn't able to watch a lot of this game because of my traveling. What's kind of going on there in terms of how are they winning? They won last week. I assume based on, I believe they had those 2 kind of special teams defense touchdowns. But this week, how is he putting up 169 yards and they're comfortably winning this game?
I mean, Salvon Ahmed had 85 yards on 21 carries and 1 touchdown.
I took his dick to my mouth this week randomly. I open up the game center. I'm like, what the fuck? Who's this guy? I realize he's starting for the Dolphins, and I proceed to watch him just shove it down my throat.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Jakeem Grant had a pretty solid week. Nothing too crazy. Devontae Parker was pretty dry. I mean, I think their defense is just really good, and their kicker, Sanders, he had
Big week.
3 out of 4 field goals, and then he had those 2 extra points, I'm pretty sure, 3 extra points.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
I'm going with them in a couple of leagues. I got a Dolphins kicker and defense tag team in a league, and I love it. I'm hype about it going forward. I recently made the switch off Harrison Butker, which could be questionable.
Yeah,
given that he is very talented, but I'm tired of watching the Chiefs score touchdowns all the time.
I also I picked up Sanders as a replacement for Butker in one of my leagues, and I'm debating, because the Chiefs were on bye last week, so I'm debating whether to stick with Sanders, because it seems like what the Miami Dolphins do is Tua throws for 150 yards and a couple touchdowns, and then they get close enough where he kicks field goals, and their defense is so good at that. That's how they can win games.
I love the game scripts and it seems like the Dolphins are really able to control the game scripts too, at least based off these last 2 weeks with Tua and going ham. They're able to they just create those games where they're smacking up 3-4 field goals a game, which is awesome for Sanders.
Yeah, for sure. And I think
Parker continuing to bust is tough to swallow, I gotta say. I know you own him in a few leagues.
I do. I'm not too happy about him. I guess Tua just doesn't like him, which I don't understand why he doesn't. He seems like it's a perfect opportunity for him to start breaking out, and he's just not doing that. So I think he's also getting the bench. I think I might actually start. I might just roll with Drake and Connor as my running back 2 in flex. But we'll see. I have to look more into the matchups for this week.
Yeah. All right, well, Bouncing along then to Broncos versus Raiders. Raiders take it at 37-12.
Yeah, Drew Lock's a little baby boy.
A tiny little baby boy.
Yeah. Four interceptions, 1 touchdown. That's not what you like to see from your quarterback at all. Melvin Gordon's a little baby boy as well.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy, I mean, I started him.
Still a young dad.
Still,
4 for 68.
Yeah, 10 points. That was solid, but like
it's a nice floor.
Yeah, a solid floor. But I mean, I don't know how much I trust him going forward with Drew Lock being either good Drew Lock or boy Drew Lock, and no one will know who it is. Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker having 2 touchdowns apiece. Jacobs getting 21 carries, 112 yards. Booker getting 16 for 81. You think that the Raiders are trying to be the Browns once they beat the Browns at their own game? That they're just gonna like run with Jacobs and Booker? Like it seems like an off-brand chunt going on there.
It is, and the thing is they're also definitely not as equal, which is very frustrating for me as a Jacobs owner, because you'd love to just see Jacobs be the one guy and just rack up every goddamn rushing yard, but it's just not in the vibes to just hound a running back in these days, unless it's Derrick Henry. So I don't know. I expect it, but the 2 touchdowns is tough. You want Jacobs to be getting those fantasy relevant carries. In the red zone.
I mean, you still did also get 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, yeah. Don't get me wrong. This is Jacobs' first like bomb week since like I think he had one 2 weeks ago, and then week 1. So it's nice to see him throwing up 29.6.
Yeah.
That's kind of hot.
He's getting the yards. But he just hasn't been getting the touchdowns. And if my prediction is somewhat correct, or my foresight is eventually those touchdowns are going to come, no touchdowns for Derek Carr, which means no touchdowns.
154 yards passing.
Yeah, so that's like a Baker Mayfield type stat line.
Oh yeah, so yeah, they're definitely in the Browns vibes.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just upset that the Browns lost to them because it's huge for playoff implications. Because everyone in the AFC is 6-3. It's like the Ravens, Browns, Raiders, Dolphins, Titans, and Colts are all 6-3, and there's like 3 or 4 wild card spots for all of them. Like. Like the Titans or the Colts are gonna win their division, so that's like like 5 teams fighting for 3 spots, and it's not a great.
You reading me the Browns' remaining schedule?
Yeah,
I like the Browns' odds to get there, especially with one more Ravens game in them. The Ravens don't look that scary right now. But
just saying, Browns beat the Eagles this week. Ravens lose to the Titans this week. Browns have that 4 seed or 5 seed locked up basically. Or not really, yeah. Not yeah. Well yeah, they have to win the games that they need to win. And like if you look at the schedules for the Raiders and the Dolphins, and like they're also pretty easy-ish schedules as well.
Gotcha.
So it's like it's gonna come down to the wire. I think we're gonna see like a 10-6 team miss the playoffs this year, and like my
and then the Eagles make it with 5 wins.
Yeah, it's some bullshit. I think they should just get rid of the divisions and just have everyone play everyone. Do it like conferences. Do it like how the NBA does it.
Yeah. It would make it a lot nicer for for you guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, 2007, the last time the Browns went 10-6, and they missed the playoffs that year too.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. So that like it's happened before to the Browns, and I'm just thinking like Cleveland luck, it's gonna happen again. It's like we're gonna have a winning season. We're gonna go 10-6, maybe even 11-5, and miss the playoffs.
That would just be crazy.
Yeah.
But like, it's definitely in the cards to happen, which sucks.
And I'm so nervous that it's gonna happen. We need the Raiders to shit their pants a little bit. Need Tua to make a couple rookie mistakes, and then need to win against the Titans and the Ravens, and hopefully hope that the Browns don't Browns.
Hey, good luck, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's all for this game, fantasy-wise. Sorry for that AFC playoff race rant, but it's going to be...
No, other than Jacobs and Booker, there wasn't much fantasy to talk about. Carlson put up 15 kicking-wise. Good week for kickers. Good week for kickers. That's a broad brush of the week, I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, Rams versus Seahawks. Russ does not cook. Didn't cook. Metcalf and Lockett both suffered for it. Was a Lockett week, as we kind of projected, but not necessarily any sort of monster performance.
Not a big Lockett week. Not his 50-point Lockett week, which I was afraid he was going to do, but instead like a 9-point Lockett week compared to a 4-point DK week. So, I mean, I don't know. What's wrong with Russ? Like, is he just have teams just like figured him out?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Chris Carson being out.
Yeah,
like
he's forced to cook.
That takes away the threat of Russ. So you're preparing for Russ.
He's been cooking for too long that he burnt his food.
Yeah, and maybe people have learned his recipes. So.
Yeah, everyone's stealing his recipes. He's just been in the kitchen for too long cooking. And the steak went from being medium rare to being too well done, and now they need Chris Carson back to roll out the dessert because he's done cooking, or like the bread rolls. That's Chris Carson.
Yeah. They just need some other supplement to accent the meal. Yeah. Because if you're just focused on the entree, you can figure it out. Jason Myers was the top scorer on the Seahawks also with 12 points. So
nice.
Good for him.
Malcolm Brown having a big old week with 2 touchdowns. I mean, not big yards wise, but
it's just more Rams backfield bullshit.
Yeah, where like this is
That's what they'd be on.
This is the height of the Rams backfield where you have. Now you're throwing in Cam Akers now too, so you got Cam Akers with 10 carries, 38 yards.
Yeah, led with the rushes.
Yeah.
But lowest amount of fantasy points.
Yes. Then you have Malcolm Brown with actually second was Darrell Henderson with 7 rushes for 28 yards, 7 carries, and 1 touchdown. And a touchdown. Then they throw in Malcolm Brown with 6 carries for 33 yards. Least amount of carries, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, you can't... Like, this is like everyone expected this to be like a throwing week, and I guess they did kind of throw a little bit. Like, Josh Reynolds, Tyler Higbee, like 94 and 60 yards. Reynolds had a huge game, more outperforming both Kupp and Woods, but like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Like
that's kind of random. There's just like some drives he was just finding him.
Yeah, there's points to be had in the Rams, but it's deciding and predicting who among them will have those points, which gives me an aneurysm, and so I just avoid the entire team. Moving on, Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a shitty game. Steelers won easily.
Yeah, big Ben Roth week.
Yeah,
he's a savage.
He is a savage.
33 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, very very dry James Conner week. Even though he got those 13 carries, and they were all big, and they just stopped running the ball. But I mean, 2.8 yards per carry is not great.
Yeah, I don't know,
dude.
Conner is.
He was so consistent. I mean, I feel like you have to, or like I'm going to maybe like.
Jacksonville next week's
That's the thing.
It's a paternity test. It's a paternity test.
It's to see how daddy he actually is. But I mean, I think you're onto something where you said you texted me saying that Deontay Johnson is the wide receiver 1 for the Steelers because Juju Smith and Chase Claypool both are absolute cancer TikTokers. Like the worst brand of TikTokers is famous athlete trying to do like dances and shit. Or like doing dances.
People say that like that makes them likable, but I watch it. I'm like, this is I hate my eyes right now.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And Deontay does not put us through that sort of cringeworthy performance.
Yeah.
And he put up 23.6 to outpace Juju and Chase's 22.7 and 21.3.
Yeah, I mean this is
he's proven it out there.
Yeah, this is the best week where you could have started any of those 3 and been very happy with the results.
That's why they're the premium half-dads.
Yeah,
because they can all put up a really nice week if they want to.
Yes, but then there's some weeks where one puts up a big week and the other 2 don't. And then like maybe one does like 15 points, one does 30, and you don't know who's going to do what. And it's very, very aggravating from a fantasy perspective, but sometimes you just gotta roll with what you got.
Go Deontay because he doesn't make TikTok.
Yes. Well, actually go Claypool because he's the only one I have on any of my teams. But yeah, in theory, go Deontay.
If you have the option.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Bengals side, Joe Burrow coming back was a not great fantasy start for me. But I was kind of forced
Steelers
to do that.
Defense.
Yeah, kind of forced into starting him because Matt Ryan was on bye. But he was my only option really. I mean,
T. Higgins was a nice little fantasy look. Yeah. 7 for 115 and a touchdown.
T. Higgins.
I'll be starting him every week. Yeah. Dude's kind of the boy.
Yeah, he lost me a week. Well, I played against him and he beat me basically single-handedly. Gotcha. So he didn't really lose me the week, but he put up just enough points where I was down by like 0.3 going into Monday Night Football where they had like I think it was Anthony Miller on the Bears. So I was already just like, well, hopefully like Anthony Miller then put
fumbles
up like fumbles it, he put up like maybe 5 points where I lost by like 6, I think. I think it was like 118 to like 113 or something like that. And it was too close. And it was all T. Higgins' fault. I'm blaming it all on T. Yeah.
Boyd put up a respectable 6 receptions, so he's definitely a start as well. The Bengals offense is really nice this year. And with Joe Mixon back in there, I expect big things from Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Going forward, because they used him nicely, and then he got injured again. So I expect him to figure out how to use him that correct way again.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, other than that, big weeks from all Steelers wide receivers. You can expect potential big weeks from the Bengals wide receivers too, mainly T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Probably not AJ Green.
Yeah, AJ might be dead.
Yeah, he probably is dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, rip in peace. Yeah, moving on. We got the 49ers and the Saints.
Kamara had 8 rushes for 15 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then 7 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown. So yards-wise, it wasn't there, but touchdown-wise, it got him up to 34.8 points.
Yeah, and catches-wise, he led them in receptions, which was and yards.
With those 7s?
Yeah.
Wow. Taysom tied him in rushes. Taysom had 8 rushes for 45 yards.
I mean, I was going to say, like, Drew Brees is hurt. You think they're probably going to start Jameis, obviously, but
Jameis is going to start the game off with a pair of touchdowns, and we're going to see Taysom Hill win his first starting job in the NFL and just Start him at tight end because he's gonna throw like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Jameis is gonna I'm definitely picking him up just to have on my bench in case Jameis.
Because if he does pop off,
Jameis might implode, and I'm very much hoping that he will implode so that I can start Taysom as my tight end and basically have 2 quarterbacks.
That would be fucking insane.
That's what you gotta do sometimes, and why not? Tight ends, if you're stuck starting Mike Gesicki every week, why not?
The upside on Taysom going forward, all it takes is an injury by Taysom or shitty play by Taysom, and the shitty play is very much in the conversation.
Yeah.
So, and even if Jameis is out there, they're definitely sending Taysom out there at least once or twice a drive because they love to just snap it to him and let him run.
Yeah.
And then they've obviously loved that play.
Yeah. I mean, and then he'll maybe get if he gets a touchdown, that's beautiful. And
that's it. That's boom.
It's
That's
probably
plenty.
gonna happen when you're starting someone in that Mike Gesicki tier of tight ends. You're praying that they score a touchdown once a game so that you get those points and that wasn't a complete. You're not sitting on 3 points.
Right.
With Taysom, you're doing the same exact thing, but you get the added benefit of him maybe catching 3 balls, maybe rushing for 60 yards, and then maybe a touchdown on top of that. That's so many more potential for more points. It's ludicrous that why wouldn't you do it?
This has gone from a bit to genuine fantasy
advice.
Yes,
genuine. It's I was joking halfway, when I was first doing it.
It was a halfway joke.
But now it's it's a move. There's the situation has gone, and Michael Thomas had another very quiet week. But
I hope they can figure it out there, but
yeah,
Thomas he's not looking the best right now.
Yeah,
I feel still start him because he's Michael Thomas, but it could be another off week, especially with Jameis behind the wheel. So who knows?
Yeah, and if he continues this type of production, he's definitely up there for bust of the week or bust of the year, up there with Lamar because I saw him. He was going first round,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's tough. I feel you have to factor in injury into bust of the year or cuck of the year.
Cuck of the year, yeah.
You have to factor in injury because injury is a little bit different than poor performance, but it is still a factor towards the bust. But I would say leaning towards an overall shitty performance throughout an entire time is probably a heavier cuck than the injury, because at least on injury, you're not tempted to start him.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a fucking huge cuck, right?
I'm just saying, if he continues to put up production like he has for the rest of the year, he's in the conversation for cuck of the year. He can
Absolutely.
easily change it, and I'm definitely gonna take the injury into consideration, but he's up there. And even without the injury, when he was healthy at the beginning of the year, he wasn't doing shit. Then he punched the dude in the face, and now he's healthy again, and he's not doing shit. So he's kind of got both going for him. And if he
pitched a fit, got himself a big old contract.
Yep.
So I just feel maybe his head's not in the right spot this season. Who knows?
Probably not.
Saints defense also putting up 15 points. So Saints defense looking kind of sexy.
Oh, yeah.
On the 49ers side of the ball, young dad Ayuk playing to his name, 7 receptions, 75 yards, touchdown, 19.7 points. Gotta love that.
Yeah, gotta love that.
I expect that most weeks.
Yeah, until Debo gets back. But then even if Debo is back, I don't know. Still young dad Ayuk time. He is a young dad, and I'm standing by that. And I'm very angry at myself for dropping him in the league and then missing him out on picking him up on the waiver wire. Not great, but whatever. It's fine. We move on. We move past it.
Our boy Ross Dwelly showing that Jordan Reed's probably going to be the not much of a surprise, but he's probably the guy that will be replacing Kittle's role.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Then the San Francisco running backs, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Jerick McKinnon looked like shit. JaMycal Hasty.
I think he's injured right now.
It means you got JaMycal Hasty, who didn't look great, even though he only had 3 carries. So, I mean, they're just, like, they need someone to come back and someone to, like, save them. Or I think their season has just been injuries, and, like, probably one of the most unlucky teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd say definitely try to fade their backfield if you can. And the offense as a whole, other than young Dad Ayuk and probably Jordan Reed, those are probably the only guys you're going to be looking at on that offense.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, jumping on down to Ravens versus Pats.
Yeah,
23-17, Pats grabbed themselves a nice little win.
Okay, when I said I blame my loss on T. Higgins, I'm actually going to blame my loss on the Ravens defense, because they just it was awful. I just watched their point total tick down, and I was playing against someone who...
It's the lowest of the year.
Yeah.
Their lowest prior to that was 6. And
yeah.
They put up 1.
Yeah. And I was playing against someone who had the New England defense. So he was like
going up.
Yeah. So it was like I was looking at it and it was like, okay, they're about even. And then then Lamar throws that interception. And then New England scores. And then it just slowly ticked away, and I was fucked.
Yeah,
basically.
With the Ravens D, I was in a situation where I was 3 points behind Adam in our game, and I was like, all right. I was like, going into the primetime games of the week, I was like, okay, I've got Ravens D, and he's got Dalvin Cook. So my odds are not great, but if the Ravens can throw up 13 fantasy points, limit the Patriots, throw on a few interceptions, maybe a fumble, things could get interesting. That Dalvin would really have to perform. And Dalvin ended up not performing greatly on Monday night. Not a 40-point game, so they could have made it interesting for me, but instead they just gave me the outright.
Okay. I said I blamed the Ravens defense. I actually blame Rex Burkhead because this. I'm changing. There's a lot of things that could have gone one way that went the other way for me. Those 2 receiving touchdowns on 4 receptions, 35 yards, 2 touchdowns to Sexy Rex.
You played against Rex this week?
I played against Rex this week.
That's fucked.
I was
22.6 points from Rex.
I was up by 20, 25, 30 going into the primetime games, going into Sunday night and Monday night. And I was like, all right, I got Ravens defense. They could pad me a little. They've been playing pretty solid.
And then he had Anthony Miller and Rex Burkhead?
He had Anthony Miller, Rex Burkhead, and Patriots defense.
Pat's D. Oh my god,
It was cancer. It was so frustrating because
Jesus fuck.
Slowly I was happy the Ravens lost because that is much better for the Browns' playoff chances. But fantasy wise, I was like, come on, at least get one more interception,
just something.
Something.
Fuck.
A pick 6 would be nice right now. Something like that, but it just didn't happen. And then Rex Burkhead just getting those 22 points. I checked the score midway through the third quarter, and I'm like, what happened to my 30-point lead? It's now 5 points. And then Rex Burkhead got another touchdown, and then I was down by point 0.2, and I'm
I hate my life.
This sucks. Yeah, but at least I didn't have to go into Monday night praying that Anthony Miller would get
less
than 2 points. But
yeah, that would have been stressful.
I could watch the shitty Monday Night Football game without stressing about it and caring about it.
What's even worse about it is that Damian Harris had 22 carries for 121 yards. Like, Rex wasn't even a factor in the offense this game except for when he was. Getting the touchdowns.
Willie Snead. 2 touchdowns for the
maybe he's a little bit of a daddy.
I mean, I trust him more than Hollywood Brown right now.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. Hollywood Brown has been definitely a cuck. He wasn't. I don't think he had enough promise to be cuck of the year, but he's definitely cucking.
Yeah. And then Mark Andrews had a solid game too.
Finally.
7 receptions, 61 yards. I think just like they're also playing in really bad rain, so a lot of like little dunk offs to Mark Andrews just kind of happened. But whatever. It's fine. We move past it. I'm 4-5 in that league. I just need to make the playoffs, and I pray.
Yeah, and it's bad to say. Lamar 21.46, and just like that's a good week, but like that's like one of his best weeks this year. So it's, it's still kind of bleh for owners, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Myers threw for a touchdown. Thought that was fun. Thought that was notable.
Yeah. No, that definitely was pretty fun. Yeah, can't really do much. I forgot Josh Allen, when we were talking about the Bills, caught a touchdown pass this week, which was a nice little addition with an extra PPR point.
Absolutely. He reminds me of Taysom a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a better thrower than Taysom. I don't know if he can run the ball too. He's what Taysom Hill could be.
It's what the Saints will be once they pull Jameis in the first quarter of this game.
And then you have a Taysom in your tight end spot, and you're chilling.
Yeah, then you're playing Josh Allen at tight end, baby.
Oh, yeah.
That's where shit gets spicy. I wonder if ESPN would switch him to quarterback status if that
I don't know. I hope not, but I'm praying. I think he might also be listed. Like, I don't know if I know in NFL he's listed as a quarterback, but in ESPN he's listed as a tight end.
Got you. So, depends where you're playing the league. But I say go for him this week. Going back on Taysom, I say go for it. Because it's like, if he's going to end up getting the starting job from Taysom, it's probably going to be in this game. So, and he wouldn't be at quarterback status this week, but he might end up playing it a good bit.
Final.
And who knows what they're drawing up at practice? All right, that's enough on Taysom.
Yeah, I love him to death. I'm 100% getting a Taysom Hill jersey.
And then to the Monday night game, the 19-13 Vikings Bears.
The Bears are so fucking bad.
So goddamn bad.
Awful, like god awful. 100 yards of total offense.
Jets level.
They're only I think the Jets have a better offense than the Bears do. Cordarrelle Patterson was their starting running back.
The boy. Got the kick return.
Got the kick return for a touchdown. That's the only touchdown they scored. It was bad. And, this was just shitty all around as well. The Vikings also didn't play too well, but that's also a testament to the Bears' defense. I don't know if there's a team in football that has such a good defense with such a bad offense. I can't imagine being a Bears fan. I can't imagine being a Bears fan. I'm sorry. That would suck. I apologize to any and all Bears fans. But it was there's 2 touchdowns. There's a missed extra point. Thielen had 2 touchdowns too.
Yeah, Thielen, as we've said, it's kind of like if Dalvin's going off, Thielen and Jefferson are kind of fades, but Dalvin didn't really go off because of the good Bears D, so Thielen got those looks that, you expect from him. He's a top fantasy player, 100%. He's just not, I would say, a top 10 wide receiver this year. Yeah.
And then Justin Jefferson with 8 receptions, 135 yards. It's pretty solid daddy day. No touchdowns to sweeten it a little bit, but still Like, can't really do much worse than that.
Yeah, I say that the run defense is what you got to look at, because if Dalvin's eating, no one else is eating. But if he's kind of, not super hungry that day, then Jefferson and Thielen are big boys.
I agree. Yeah, this game was shitty.
Kirk Cousins won a Monday night game.
2020, man.
Shit's weird.
Alright, yeah, that concludes our recap of Week 10.
Good shit. It was honestly, I didn't get to catch the end of the 4:00 games, but it was good football all around. The Bills Cardinals game was super exciting. That might have been the best end to a game all year so far.
Yeah, I agree. All
right, we're gonna start breaking down the fantasy matchups. I'll start. I'd like to start with mine. Get it out of the way. Officially, Wet Dads Inc. is closed.
Oh, you change your name again?
I changed my name again.
It's no longer
Wet
bankrupt?
Dads Inc. is closed. No longer bankrupt. We're officially out of business. And it was a tough loss this week because if I had played Swift over Moss, that's it. That's the only thing, and it was a deciding point for me. You could argue me moving Watson and Fuller at the last second definitely improved my chances more, but yeah, the Swift thing ate at me for a bit. Gotta say.
And going against Kyler is never a good thing. And then having one of the wide receivers on the Steelers. If Adam had started both, which I don't expect him to do that really.
Yeah.
But and Cole Beasley on his bench, like Adam could have put it up a lot more points.
Yeah, he could have really stuck it in me.
Yeah, but you had a chance if you had trusted Swift, which you didn't, and that's on you.
I gotta live with it.
Yeah.
Got a big week from Jacobs finally too, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. And you're living with that AJ Brown 3-pointer, so you can't really do much about that.
It's always shitty. That's why I hate Thursday night games. They just set the tone, and if they set a bad tone, it's tough to get over because it felt like I never really was in a good spot.
Oh, wait, did we preview the Thursday Night Football game?
Oh, shit. No, we did not.
Yeah.
We'll take a quick pause. I guess that's honestly all really to say, because Kyler was a standout performance, of course, for Adam. But I had my own standout performance with Josh Jacobs. And it was really just, if I started Swift, shit would have been all right. And Adam benched all the guys he needed to bench. Deontay Johnson, Cole Beasley, putting up 23 and 27. Mike Evans putting up 19. So, I was getting by the hair of my chin. And
hair of your ass.
Do it.
Yeah. Oh, well. Thursday Night Football. Cardinals Seahawks. You think it's going to be a bounce-back game for the Seahawks? You think it's going to be like a little, prove that we're actually good type of game? Or do you think it's going to be Cardinals just dicking them?
I say, if Chris Carson is back, which I'm not sure what the status is, we'll look that up and we'll preview that. Oh, wait, yeah, we should look that up and preview that now. If he is back, I like the bounce back of the Seahawks this week. I don't know if it'll be a win, but if without them, I'd be worried of another sort of Seahawks offensive bust.
Okay, so Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde are both practicing.
Okay.
So it looks like they will be back. But I think they're both limited at practice. However, it's looking like Tyler Lockett is not practicing. So.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Carlos Hyde is a full participant, and Chris Carson was limited.
So we're thinking definitely DK.
Yeah, definitely DK.
Worried about DK, and then maybe a little David Moore action.
Yeah. Tyler Lockett has a knee injury, and he's not practicing. Lockett's day-to-day, but he didn't practice on Monday or Tuesday, I think. I gotta look up the Seahawks injury report.
This is big shit.
Yeah.
To go over the Cardinals, while you do that, of course, Kyler, big start, and expect a massive game on this shitty-ass Seahawks defense. I also, I like D-Hop and Christian Kirk both this week, even though Kirk kind of busted a little bit last week, but that's even, more reason that he should play a little bit better. And always defenses are going to be focusing on DeAndre Hopkins, so it's nice to have him as a lookout. And like we kind of mentioned earlier, Drake's a look. Edmonds isn't not a look either, but, I don't know. He's not the best look.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm throwing Drake in my lineup for this week.
Love it. Love it.
So, for the injury. So, Tyler Lockett did not participate in practice Monday or Tuesday with a knee injury. They say he's day-to-day, but the practice reports for today have not been released yet. However,
and the game's in one day.
Yes,
so
the game's
in 1 day out.
Yeah, if he was limited today, I think he's gonna play. But if he's not participating today, he's probably not. Carlos Hyde was limited and Monday, full practice yesterday.
So he's looking like he's going to be going.
Chris Carson was limited both days. So, I mean, if Carson's out, which it's looking like it's not going to be, then Hyde's a go. If not, start Carson.
100%.
Yes. But, I mean, I'm expecting a big passing day, big week from Kyler, big week from Hopkins. Hopefully, I'm all in on these Cardinals. I think that they're a very, very solid team.
Yeah, I'll be taking the Cardinals in this game for sure.
Yeah.
I think Seattle just has looked so beatable over the past few weeks, and depending on, like we said, if Carson's back, I honestly like the offense more. Not that you wouldn't start anyone. I say the only question is if Lockett's out, then do you start David Moore?
Yeah.
And I would say it's not a bad look, especially if Carson's in, because then the offense is moving.
Very true. All right. Now, we'll cut that, put it before our preview. Or not, because it doesn't matter. Fuck it. So, yeah, let's jump on back to our league review. So we just got finished with your matchup. So now do we want to... Let's talk about the shit game of the week. Mike versus Vinny.
Oh, yeah. Really wish I had one of them this week.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
88-67.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Davis had a shitty day. Chase Edmonds didn't do too hot. Michael Thomas with his 4. Terry McLaurin
Joe
was
Burrow
his
12.
Terry McLaurin was his big producer. With 17.
He got the Jimmy Graham start at tight end with a goose egg.
With a goose egg. The Washington defense putting up negative points, and then Gostkowski still trusting him at kicker there. But, I mean,
another questionable call from Mike.
Say he started, I mean, I probably would have gone with the same lineup that he went with, pretty much. But say he starts John Brown and Antonio Brown instead of Michael Thomas and instead of Gio Bernard. So that's 26 points subtracted by 412. So that's
14.
Yeah.
So
that's 12 more points.
81.
Yeah.
81.
That's
there's nothing he could do.
Yeah, nothing he can do unless he picked up someone else. If he started Taysom Hill, he would have won. I think. I'm just gonna claim that. I'm not gonna check that. I'm just gonna go with it.
Mike, you heard it here.
Yeah, but I mean, Vinny going with David Montgomery, even though he's injured.
That's a tough one. There.
There's not. I mean, I don't know who he could have started in his place. Joshua Kelly giving him 2 extra points.
That's a bad look.
Yeah, Fournette giving him 5. I mean, Hopkins and Diggs scored like the majority of his points. Like they combined for 51 of his 88 fantasy points.
Yeah, like this is, oh god, like I don't even know like how he got up to 88. Like he had a goose egg, a .2, 4-5 from kicker defense, 5 from Leonard Fournette, 10 from Jared Goff. That was everything else.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gronk with 13, I guess. So that Gronk 13, that touchdown he snagged was a little, not that it saved his week, but that it kind of elevated him above like a complete bust.
Like he obviously like checked his lineup, like he set his lineup, but why did he leave Montgomery in there and have Lindsey in the flex? Why didn't he put Lindsey at running back 1 or running back 2 and then roll with Jefferson in the flex? Like, I don't know. I'm that like this is a game that Mike needed a win and he didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he's feeling it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you rely so much on one team. The Chiefs in Mike's case, where he's got Tyreek and Travis Kelce
on bye.
And it's
the heart of his team.
Yeah, but yeah, this is just a bad week for both of them, but a much worse week for Mike.
Do you think Mike starts Michael Thomas next week?
I don't know. I think he might, because he needs to win every game to even have a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, he's in the same situation as me at 3-7. It's like,
yeah,
we gotta win out, and like even then, it's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, but yeah, he dropped a lot in my power rankings. I was really high on Mike's team, but I think he's the team that is gonna like upset a couple people and like ruin the playoff chances for other people. That's what he should be playing for now. I hope so. Making one or two
need a chance to make it.
Yeah, because he has a solid like overall like solid team. It's just injuries and the bye week combined for shit for him.
Yeah, he's just struggling. He's at the bottom of the barrel this week.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like we've said that a few weeks about his team. We like look at him, we're like, he had no choice but to start this lineup. And I'm like, I don't know how we've said that every week about his team.
It's just bad drafting, I guess.
Yeah, just bad management all around.
Yeah, I agree.
Worst manager of the year. No.
Mike McCarthy of the league.
Exactly. All right, let's jump on to. I will go with the bigger blowout. A Team Haas versus Euclid Daddies. Brian putting up 105.
A team has no name, not Team Haas.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Team has no name.
Eddie Wild.
Eddie Wild's team. With Brian's 105, he could have beat me, Josh, almost Kyle. But then also Mike and Vinny. So 105, Bri, if you're listening, that's plenty. You're gonna snag a win.
Yeah. You're gonna get there. You get Kenny Galladay back. You trade one of DJ Chark, DJ Moore, for a running back. You start Malcolm Brown, or you start one of those two running backs.
That's a tough choice.
Yeah,
though.
that's a tough choice. That's really rough there. Yeah, try and make a trade for a running back, Brian. And then run it past me or Jake, and then we'll tell you if it's a good trade or not.
Yeah, if you can just get an upgrade at running back, your team's halfway to good.
Yeah,
100%.
But yeah, I mean, Ed's team is pretty solid. He's got young dad Ayuk.
Ed's gonna be jumping in the power rankings.
Yeah, little T Higgins, Todd Gurley on bye. He's got the young ho coming back.
Basically made all the right choices for who to start and who to sit.
Yeah, I don't know.
He knew Curtis Samuel was gonna bust.
he did. He's the Curtis Samuel whisperer. He knows. He's got a plug. He knows something that we all don't. Which is incredible. But I mean, kudos to Ed. Like you're jumping way high.
Yeah, we'll be looking to him.
Yeah,
he understands.
Yeah, we need to get Ed on the pod.
Oh yeah, he's not even in the group chat. He doesn't even know this exists. I think
he's got the.
We'll get him on.
Yeah, we'll get him on. We just can't FaceTime him. We'll have to Zoom or have him call in.
Yeah. But the only mistake he made was benching the Colts for the Eagles, but he still puts up 152. So I think he's locking himself in for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, based on I looked at the league, to lock a playoff spot, it's 7 wins. If you hit 7 wins, you're 100% in the playoffs.
Oh, I'm chilling then.
Yeah, you're locked. So because there's only 3 weeks left. So congratulations, Peach. You got a duel next week for top place in the league against Josh, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm very much looking forward to this as well.
That's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be the 1 seed. I'm ready. I gotta make the right decisions.
And for me and Mike sitting at 3-7, like I said, statistically, that's not even the right term. We're not out of it. But the situation is that it's Kyle, Adam, and Jonah all have 5 wins, and then Ed and Vinny have 6 wins. So like I said, 7's the magic mark. Now if 2 only because you and Josh are the 2 top spots, of those 5 only 4 can make it. So the thing is if 2 of them only end up with 6 wins, then me and Mike, if we win out, which cannot happen because we play each other, so only depending on who wins that week, and if we win out, we could potentially be in contention for the last playoff spot if 2 of those 5 teams end up with 6 wins. And I did a lot of looking at the schedule to figure this out, and we'll just have to see how it shakes out. Matchups are there.
You're not mathematically eliminated.
Exactly. And I play Brian next week. I hope he doesn't pull out his second win against me, because his first win was against me. But hey, if it happens, that's just how the season's been going, baby. So,
do we know what the tiebreakers?
I think the hardest hit was this week.
Do you know what the tiebreakers are?
Tiebreakers are points 4, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. We should honestly league settings. Tiebreaker. Usually it's either going to be head-to-head or points 4. Alright.
Yeah, the only thing Matchup what?
Oh, there's no matchup tiebreaker, playoff bracket. Playoff seeding tiebreaker, total points 4. So when you jump over to the standings, I believe of Mike, me, and then the 5 teams that have the best chance to get in right now: Jonah, Adam, Kyle, Ed, and Vinny. I believe I'm second in points 4, behind Kyle, if that's correct. No, I'm 6 behind Mike. I'm 12 behind Kyle. So that's very much the situation. Ed's far ahead, but I expect Ed to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
With his extra win. Vinny might tank. I'm not 100% sure on Vinny. That David Montgomery start, it worries me.
Yeah. Whatever. We want to move on to the upset of the week.
Upset of the week. Let's do it, baby.
Team Haas beating the formerly 8-1, now 8-2 Lamar Jackson Flaxen Waxons.
Not so high in the power rankings, Josh. Now, huh?
Yeah.
Something.
Russ and DK, both having themselves a pretty shitty week.
A nice little stinker.
Yeah, I think this. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my matchup with Josh next week on our next podcast, which we're probably gonna do in person. So everyone get hyped for that.
Oh yeah, it'll be our first together podcast, so it's gonna be wet.
Yeah, but yeah, not Mike. Josh made all the decisions that he could. Starting Tanyan instead of Ebron wouldn't have done much. And he still lost.
5.
Yeah, he still lost. It was just stinker week from Russ, stinker week from DK. No McCaffrey. Not much he can really do. And
yeah, he's very reliant on Russ and DK. So if those guys are down, you probably have a pretty good shot to beat Josh.
Yeah. And, I mean, Ronald Jones putting up 25, Tom Brady putting up 31. It's just how it plays out sometimes. And solid upset. Good job, Jonas, saving your playoff chances. Needing 2 more wins to lock it up. It'll be interesting.
He plays. I think I play him in the last week of the regular season. So things could get interesting there, because I think he plays Josh and then Brian and then me. As you can tell, I've looked at this.
Yeah.
So Josh, flip that, because I play Brian next week. So it's me. It's what the fuck am I saying?
You, Brian, wait, he plays.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I said he played me the last week. So, yeah, so he plays Josh week 2, and then me, or in 2 weeks, and then me the third week. No, I don't know.
Whatever. He plays those 3 teams.
I'll cut this part.
Yeah.
So he'll probably beat Brian, and he'll probably lose to Josh, and then I'm like, maybe I can keep my team alive by beating him, but we'll see. He had Julio on bye, which is notable, so having him in there could do some things. Ronald Jones, he gave in the flex, which definitely was a wet play.
Yeah, very true. Solid win. I mean, not an overwhelming performance, but still enough to beat a struggling Jackson Flax and Waxons. Yeah, Flax and Waxons.
Yep.
Yeah, moving on to the last week. The last game of the week, I should say. I mean, I feel like most of my players hit like their floors, and I still put up 120 points. Like Josh Allen putting up 27 was my top scorer. And then James Conner's 6 points was not great. Chubb's 18.6. I expect that to go up. I expect that
Allen's 12.
Allen's 12.
Should go up.
Adams 18. I feel like should go up. Not having Mike Gesicki, instead having Hayden Hurst.
Up.
Devontae Parker having a dud. I mean, I could start. I have options there. I can throw in Drake. I can throw in Jarvis. I'm going to have to go with Ryan Tannehill this week because Josh Allen is on bye. So that's going to be a big thing in my upcoming matchup.
That's going to be tough for the matchup.
Yeah, which is unfortunate to say the least. But, you know, it is what it is. I feel like I can... As this Thursday night matchup is going to be huge for me and Josh, because I'm hoping that the Seahawks continue to be shit and Russ continues to overcook his meals, and then Drake is able to run and get me some points.
That Thursday night game is going to tell a lot about what's going to happen that week between you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's solid
Kyle's
performance.
Kyle's team didn't perform that bad. But, you know, just like everyone was kind of muted. You know, Aaron Rodgers with his 25. Aaron Jones and Duke Johnson. You know, you want Duke Johnson to do better than that, but you can't really expect him to. Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Bass was his second highest scorer player.
Tyler Bass was a nice play. 18 points. Week of the kickers.
Yeah. He's got a decision to make if he continues with Tyler Bass or rolls with Harrison Butker.
Yeah, and he started Goddard and Waller, so he went with the double tight end whammy, which isn't ever really intimidating. So
yeah, if he had played Jacoby Myers, he would have won. I'm pretty sure.
15
instead of Gallup. Actually, no, he wouldn't have. He would have been closer.
Yeah, he would have been closer. He would have been like he still would have been probably like another 8 points out.
Yeah. Bless you.
But
yeah, that's
you're just cementing yourself as the top team in the league.
And hopefully next week I will cement myself even. Hopefully that cement will dry next week.
Yes. That's what we'll find out.
Yes. So yeah, anything else, or are we?
No, that's all.
All right.
I say we do some power rankings.
All right, so our final little segment we got is our consensus power rankings. So instead of doing it how we've been doing it, where Jake and I make our own power rankings, we both didn't prepare power rankings, so we're gonna do them now. So
we're gonna discuss it live.
Yes.
On the air.
So I'll write these down. We'll report back to the league. All right.
Next year when we have a website, we'll keep an updated version of the power rankings online.
All right. Yeah. So number 1, I'm going with myself.
Yep. I think.
Wait,
that's,
1 second.
That's
1
obvious.
second.
Oh.
Yeah, Dad. Yeah. All right. 1 second. I gotta walk my dogs in a bit, so let's run through this. All right.
We got it.
So for number 1, I'm putting
PJ
myself
at the top spot.
Yeah.
I think it's clear.
I think we saw. Yeah, we saw the floor for my team and the floor for Josh's team, and my floor is significantly higher than Josh's floor.
Yep. Yeah. Josh threw up an L.
Yeah.
PJ put up a dub. I think that just spells it out clear. We put PJ first last week. This even just
solidifies
makes us feel better
it.
about it this week.
All right. Number 2.
Second,
I'll throw Josh in there.
I don't think he drops out.
Yeah.
I don't think he drops out. He's still number 2. Still second best, Josh. It's all right.
Russ can still cook, and DK is still DK. So, and he's got McCaffrey coming back. So, I'm still rolling with him at number 2. Number 3, I'm thinking Ed.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ed big time.
Yeah.
Ed's the second highest scoring team in the league over the course of the season. And with as far as the record goes, he's 6-4 right now. So
Lamar,
he's looking like a scary ass team.
Kamara, young dad Ayuk, Gurley coming back. He's got Gibson, T. Higgins. Like, yeah, I'm definitely not for Ed. He definitely has it going on. Number 4, I'm thinking Adam.
Yeah, I honestly, Adam's team is with Kyler and Dalvin. That whammy is just
and Miles Sanders as a running back too.
Yep.
Claypool
and he'll figure
and
it out at wide receiver.
Yeah,
he's got what he needs at wide receiver. But as we said, one of the drawbacks of Adam's team is, especially with the current situation of receivers, he's just gonna have a hard time picking the right guys to put in there.
Yeah. So I'll pencil him in at number 4. Now we get to like every team that the rest of the teams basically. So for number 5, you thinking Jonah? Are you thinking Kyle?
I'm thinking. Let me see. I'm thinking Kyle.
I'm also thinking Kyle.
5.
Lockett, Cooks, Aaron Rodgers, Darren Waller, Zeke, Amari Cooper. Like, I'm thinking Kyle at 5 is solid. I think that's better than what.
There's definitely
Jonas.
a drop off at this point. I gotta say.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a. This is where it gets grimy.
Yeah. So after Kyle in the 6th spot, we thinking.
Do you feel like it's Vinny or
it's
do you feel
Jonah
like
or
it's
Vinny? I like Vinny's running backs scare me. I like the Derrick Henry, Tom Brady, Julio coming back.
Yeah.
But on the other side, Vinny's got himself like Fournette, Hopkins, Diggs,
He's got
Gronk.
Eckler coming back in 2 weeks, which will be huge for him.
Yeah, but it might be too late for him too.
It might be too late.
I think once Eckler gets back, I think Vinny could jump Jonah in these rankings, but for now, I think it's Jonah.
Yep, I agree with you.
So we'll pencil in Jonah at 6 and Vinny at 7.
And then we get to the real meat of this this conversation between Mike and me. Mike's team put up 67 this week. I don't know, man.
I just think
that's my argument for my spot in 8th.
So what makes your team better than Mike's?
Let me see. So at the running back situation, When Mike assumed full health, you will have Joe Mixon and Chris Carson. I will have Josh Jacobs and a newly found starter in Swift. And I personally like it maybe a little bit better. I don't know. It might be an even split.
Yeah, that we'll call running backs a wash. Wide receivers.
Yeah, we'll call it a wash.
He's got you beat at wide receivers. I'm sorry. Tyreek Hill and Scary Terry.
Yeah, both those boys. Yeah. And then, of course, Michael Thomas in the backup, who hasn't proved himself, but, like, that's a scary guy just kind of looming over.
Tight end, he's also got you beat with Kelsey.
Yeah. Flex, though. Who's his top flex option?
Probably Michael Thomas. Maybe Antonio Brown. Do you like him
better than...
Maybe Antonio Brown?
Do you like him better than Will Fuller or... who do I got there now?
Kirk?
Yeah, Kirk. Oh, yeah. I like Kirk as a flex option.
I don't know.
Better than Thomas right now.
But I don't know better than Antonio Brown. I don't know about going forward, though.
Yeah, no, I give it to Mike.
I'll give it to Mike. And I think quarterback, Joe Burrow had to play the Steelers defense, so...
But I say overall, I think Herbert gives me the edge.
What about Deshaun?
And Deshaun, like, I'll be bouncing between the two of them, kind of depending on week to week. So with that
I'll give you a slight edge in quarterback. Yeah. With that, with the wash and running back... Wide receivers clearly leaning Mike. Tight end clearly leaning Mike. Flex closer, maybe leaning Mike. I'm gonna put Mike at 8.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
And then if Swift continues to be a dad, then potentially yes. If like you could raise up in these power rankings, but so far, I'm sorry, you're at 8. Mike's at 8, you're at 9, and then we got
Brian sitting at 10th. No surprise there, but I will say, if he does improve the running back situation with the trade, he'll be in a clear discussion
with you and
me and Mike.
Yes, yeah, it'll be a 3-team discussion instead of a 2. So that's our final power rankings. 1 me, 2 Josh, 3 Ed, 4 Adam, 5 Kyle, 6 Jonah, 7 Vinny, 8 Mike, 9 Jake, 10 Brian.
I think there's just some accurate power rankings this week.
Yes, I agree. So, that wraps up our show.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
All you beautiful listeners out there.
Yeah. I'm sorry it came out so late.
But we're out now, so
we're out
enjoy.
Now. All right, I'm gonna go walk my dogs.
All right, peace.